I'm Trisha G. I'm a developer. I'm a Java developer for a financial exchange in London. This is a world, finance and technology, where there really are not that many women. So the very first thing that someone usually says to me, "Oh, you're a girl." Thanks for that. I didn't know that. So I do presentations about Java programming and concurrency in Java and finance and all these kind of technical and blokey type of subjects, apparently. And I got asked to do a presentation here about women in technology, and I very nearly said no, because I don't want to be the mouthpiece for women in technology. I am a girl, I am a developer, but I can't say what all of you are thinking. I don't know what's the right thing for you guys. So when people ask me, what do women want in technology? Why aren't there enough women in technology? Then my answer is, how should I know? I'm here, I'm a developer. I don't know the answer to your problems. So I'm going to give you the answer to your problems anyway. I'm going to do what techies do best. We're going to go through the problem of women in technology. We are going to dissect it in a properly technical way, probably, although none of you guys have beer in your hands, so you're not doing it the London way at all. We're going to dissect the problem in a properly technical way. We are going to go through some ideas, do a bit of brainstorming. This is going to be interactive, and I am going to force you to speak. And then we're going to hopefully come up with some take-home points so that we can all go away and make our lives a better place. That's the theory. So, yeah, just to set those slight, not really too ambitious targets. So the problem is there are not enough women in technology. Apparently, this is a problem. For me, this is not a problem, because I am a woman in technology, and my CV stands out amongst all the other guys. I get asked to speak at conferences, and it's very easy to be noticed as a woman in technology. I don't really see this as an issue for me. But for technology as a whole, then it is a good idea. We need more developers, we need more techies, we need more people doing what we do. We need to broaden the scope of our appeal and attract more people to come and work with us and for us. And since we're actually losing, we've got, anecdotally from the London Java community, I ran a poll and said, how many techies you work with are women? And they came up with sort of 10 to 20%. So if 10 to 20% of your workforce are women, then there's a huge pool of resources there that you're not using. And we need more technical people. If we need more technical people and we can visibly see that there are no women, then that seems like a good pool of people to try and attract. It also hints to me, and there's going to be an awful lot of personal opinion here, by the way. I've got a microphone, I'm standing in front of you lot, and I'm talking about a subject I feel passionately about. I feel sorry for you lot. You're going to be in trouble. So, to me, the fact that there are not very many women in technology is a sign of a smell, like a code smell. It is a sign of a smell that we are not attracting other people that are not as visible. Okay, so we can tell the women and the men. It's really obvious. There are very few women and loads of guys, and so clearly we're putting off women. In actual fact, my opinion is that there's a whole bunch of people that we're putting off. Okay, I'm going to try and do something really probably bad out here. There's an awful lot of white people in here, let's be honest. There's a few beige people, but, we're very white. And we don't really talk a lot about the race side of things. We don't talk a lot about the spread of, how many homosexuals do we have versus heterosexuals. We do talk a lot about the women in IT thing. If we can solve the problem of why we're not appealing to women in technology, we might be able to address some of the other issues as well. So this is the problem. We appeal to a small subset of people. I think, is there another part of the problem? Yes, and the other thing is that we've been, I think as an industry, we started off with lots of women, right? We started off in Bletchley Park near London, creating computers, and pretty much everyone there was a woman because all the men were off at war. And up through the 60s, there was loads of women. So in actual fact, the problems got worse over the decades. And over the noughties and the 90s, the number of women in technology actually decreased. So this is also a sign of a smell, and this is also part of the problem. So not only is the problem, not only does it exist, it looks like it's getting worse. So we are going to, I'll explain that stuff already. We're going to take a bit of a technical approach, dissect the problem, blah, 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 blah. We're going to use some agile ideas as well to bring this out. So I'm going to invite George up on stage to do the requirements of this particular exercise, as a good technical person should do. And I should have got that microphone turned on. Do you want to use, can we turn that on? Great, thank you.
Thank you. Whoa.
I think it's on.
All right, I'll stand back here. Are we good now? Can you? This is kind of freaky. Yesterday I had the opposite thing because I had a lavalier mic, but it wasn't actually turned up, so I had to hold it like basically in my mouth for people to hear. So now I'm just going to try to find the right balance. I actually don't have a lot of nice. Oh, I do have nice notes. Look at that. God, that's amazing. Oh, cool. Oh, okay.
I was going to try and move, but I keep getting blinded.
Close to each other.
All right.
That's
I'll go over here. That's all right.
That's okay. Okay.
No, it won't.
Please.
No,
don't get so close. All right. I'm just waiting for the feedback to happen.
Do you want me to stand over here? I'm standing here. I won't move. I promise. And I'll try not to trip you up with the thing.
See, now what's gonna happen is, I don't know if you can see, there's a cable down here and it's all wound around like this, and my foot is in the middle of it, so when she runs a little bit further, you're gonna see me kind of pulled along behind.
You could have one less woman in technology.
And it'll be your fault.
Well, no, this is, it's the other way around. I'm gonna be the one who's dragged under the wheels, so, and then maybe a woman can come along and replace me, so. So talking about requirements, well, this is easy, right? I mean, when I think about, the requirements of what I need, what we look for when we try to find people to hire, there's sort of one part. There's hiring, there's making people productive, and there's being able to sort of keep people around for a long period of time. And so these are all part of the things that, as a vice president of software development, that I think about, right? This keeps me awake. I want to be able to find the best people. I want to find people who are intelligent, who have experience and are driven. I want to find people who are able to cooperate and work with other people around them. And there's absolutely nothing in that description that says that that has to be, a particular category. It's not, there's nothing male about that. There's nothing female about that. And as Tricia pointed out, there are a lot of other ways of sort of breaking down human populations that actually have nothing to do with that. So that for me is sort of, those are the things that are requirements. That's what I look for. The second piece of this, which is how do you make a workplace one that is welcoming and that actually makes it so that everyone who is there is able to take part and be productive. And this one is a little bit more of a head scratcher, right? Because I think that what tends to happen is, people sort of naturally do the things that come naturally to them. They do the things they like, and not everyone likes the same things. And not everyone always realizes that the things that they like may actually be off-putting for other people. Or, if you're a group that does not have a lot of diversity, and somebody's coming, you have maybe 10 people from one kind of background and one person from another one, there may be things that feel very, natural to the 9 people that the other person just feels like, okay, I'm completely excluded from this. And in fact, you might wonder, well, I'm not exactly beige. I tend towards beige. But, so what do I know about this? And I actually would like to say that I have quite a bit of experience with this. I have experience in being part of the sort of majority and seeing people in the group who have a different perspective. But I also have it a little bit from the other way around, and there are some people here who have worked with me at a group in Sweden. And I know you'll be shocked by this, but I actually don't look a whole lot like most people in Sweden. I'm generalizing, but it's true. And when I first moved there, I didn't really speak the language all that well. So I was kind of this weird guy that was sort of different. And what I found was that my feeling was like coming in with something like that different, it's very easy to feel excluded. And it's not necessarily something that people are doing that's conscious. People didn't go around going, hey, let's exclude the American guy. It was more that you would come in and people would talk about things, and they would talk about, just to give an example, hockey or something else, and I'm like, okay, all right, I can deal with that. And once or twice, it's a little annoying, but it's not that bad. But if you feel like this happens all the time, every day, and everything you do, it kind of wears you down. And so that for me is another requirement. This is not a requirement of people I hire. This is a requirement that I put on the people who work for me, that we create an environment that's welcoming, that we create an environment that's conscious of trying to make it so that everyone who's there can actually do what they need to do, which is get the work that we need to get done. And then the final part is this thing of, a sustainable sort of long-term perspective. And what I'd say here is that, I mentioned that when I look for people to hire, I want people that have knowledge and background and experience. And it doesn't mean that, everyone that I hire has been, an engineer for 20 years. Some of them are. But, there are also people who come directly from school. And what I would say is that whether they've been working in the field for 20 years or whether they come from school, I want them to come and I want to invest in them, right? I want them to become better. I want them to continue to learn and grow. And having done that, right, having made that investment, I want return on investment. And I can't get return on investment if people leave. And I can't get investment if they leave, whatever the reason may be. So, I take the sort of trying to retain people as something very serious. For me, this is a requirement that, we're not sort of constantly investing in people and then creating an environment that makes them want to go somewhere else. And that is sort of multiple things. It's not only the environment that we have every day, it's also the long-term engagement in a person. And, anyone who's been working for some period of time and, knows that, things happen in people's lives. Right, and this is something that I think I feel it particularly because I had the distinct pleasure of being in Sweden when my daughter was born, and I don't want to turn this into a political debate, but what I would say is that the sort of policies there made it possible for me as a man to do things that I could never do here. And that turned out to be something that actually, was quite interesting because, you sort of look at it as, oh, there are great parental benefits. That must be wonderful for the women. Well, it's wonderful for men too. But people, don't necessarily immediately realize that. So anyway, I've probably gone way over the 3 minutes I was supposed to do. I'm going to turn it over, but keep those things in mind. It's finding and attracting the best talent. It's being able to create an environment where that talent can be productive, and it's having a commitment to keeping those people around through everything that happens in their lives.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. So thank you to Stephen, who's now disappeared. I now have a whiteboard, which is awesome, or a flip chart. I'm going deaf in one ear here. What we're going to do is does anyone here work in an agile environment? Oh, great. That's awesome. Does anyone here not even know what I mean when I say agile? It's okay, don't be afraid. We're going to do a retrospective because my organisation, LMAX, is very, very agile. And retrospectives are a great way to get feedback from people. And I'm going to kill myself, I really am. I don't know if everyone can see this, and the pillars in this room make it kind of hard. And this is kind of small, so this is experimental, and if it doesn't work, I do have a backup plan. In the retrospective, we are going to go over the good points, the bad points, the questions we have, and the ideas that we have, which always ends up with a very odd-looking light bulb, which is not very energy efficient. So what I want to do is go through the approach so far that we've taken, trying to attract women into IT, the advantages and disadvantages of being of working in IT full stop, especially from the women who are here, but everyone. I want to know everyone's opinions of what's great and what's bad about working in IT, the sorts of things we can change. And, any questions we have, I don't even really know what sorts of questions they might be. And any ideas we have for the future, we're definitely going to cover this, but we might have more of a chance to do that as the next step. So, does anyone want to give me... I'm going to start with the negatives. Oh, I'm going to put the rules up as well. The rules are... no moaning. Okay, we just don't have all day. Blogs are where you moan. That's where you put your bad things, okay? No moaning. We can have negative points, and that's fine, but we're not going to go on and on about the really bad things because, really, we want to be positive and come up with something useful for the future. No unconstructive criticism. Deconstructive criticism. And rule 3 was something which I'll probably tell you when someone breaks it. Trish is right. Okay? Yes, I would love a fatter pen. Brilliant, thank you. I'm assuming, therefore, that people can't really see that at the back. I'll try and read it out, and if it doesn't work horribly, we'll try and put it on the screen or something. I am going to try and capture as much of this as possible and put it on a blog post afterwards because, I only do these sessions as fodder for my blog. Come on, that's all we all do it for. So, negative points about working in IT and or about the approach we've taken so far about trying to attract women into IT.
The hours.
The hours is a bad thing.
Or a good.
Yeah, we can put it on both sides, that's fine. All right, I'm going to put it on the positives as well.
I work for the government, so I might be able to put them.
Okay, Martine. Booth babes, they were a bad thing? I'm just checking. Yes? Sorry? Salary discrepancies. Overall, yeah. If you work for a bank, yeah. Salary. Ben? Programmers, yeah. I hate those guys. Right, there's this kind of new-ish, I don't know how new it is, there's this new-ish movement to be all laddish about programming and get beer kegs and be all frat boy-ish around it. And it just so doesn't fit in my mind, my vision of programmers generally. The whole frat boy thing is it's not a good fit at all. But there is this whole movement of programmers and it's horrible. Yes? The what education?
Educational pipeline.
Education pipeline is a bad thing.
There's a lot of restriction happening.
Right, you're right, the education pipeline. So the stats I have, I've got loads of numbers in my head. The stats I have for the UK is that at GCSE level, so the exams we take at 16, 44% of ICT, so what's that, information computing technology, 44% of them are women. At 18, it becomes 25%. It's 12% for computer science at 18, and then at university level, it's well below 12%. And then when we get into the workplace, who knows what happens. So yeah, education pipeline. Yes? Yes. So being seen as a woman first and a technologist second. I'm going to run out of space here. Yes. Oh, sorry, you were first. Micromanagement, yes. You can't see any of these, but at least I'm making a note of it. No. We're trying to go over all points. Yes?
I heard being questioned about why someone being hired was because that person was a woman or because
Quotas. Mm-hmm. So there's something around questioning how you got your role, how you got the job, specifically as a woman, but it's not just for women as well. Oh, I'm gonna. Oh no. Have a cough. I'm not sick, honest. Oh yes. Drugs. Listen, thank you. Yeah.
So I have no idea what you're talking about. The CIO of our country is
Sorry?
the CIO of my country is she.
Okay.
So,
Do you want? I'm going to put that under questions
yeah.
because you said I don't know what you're talking about because my CIO is a woman.
Yeah.
Mhm. Where is that? Sorry? This is not going to work if I keep coughing through it. Yes.
Well, it's a common thing that you continue to learn all the time, I think, but at the same time, the things I know, I do fast. And the things I don't know, I take this most of my work hours. So I'm constantly banging my head, I can't wait this one, I can't wait that one. So it's
So the cost of learning.
frustration as the negative.
So it's frustrating.
I'm not very exposed. I'm not giving it away, but that's my opinion.
It's a time drain to keep current or to get up to date. Oh my goodness, more and more and more. Sorry, you had your hand up earlier.
One thing that happens to me that I want to bring to team is a different perspective and actually and round up.
Okay, so positive is a woman brings a different perspective. Can all three of you do it at the same time? No.
With the lack of women in technology, that leads to a lack of mentoring and people try to move up and develop. It's not really a model follow.
We're going to put lack of mentoring. So mentoring / role models.
All three are the same. No, I to the processing.
Yes?
I'm seeing more role models or more senior women in IT.
So the increasing number of senior women.
I think we can still do better.
Yeah.
But I'm actually seeing it now. I think that's a topic.
Negative, I think there's
I like it. I'm going to come on to that, so I'm really pleased you said that. So I'm going to put stereotypes generally, but yeah, the programmer stereotype isn't helping anyone. Yes? Oh, I'm putting that on negative, right? Oh my God. Quotas. No, it's never a positive. Sorry. While I'm up here with a microphone, I'm just going to say quotas are evil. I'm sorry. They just are. Yes?
Yeah, positive thing. And balance teams, men and women, different age groups, things might travel are more pleasant and more productive.
Okay, so balanced teams are more productive. Sorry, this pen is running out. Yes. Okay. Yep. Yeah. So I'm supposed to be repeating this to the microphone. As a woman, there is a pressure to be visible. Not just as a woman, actually. As any sort of diverse type person, there's a pressure to be visible. Yes?
As a positive, right now there's a lot of opportunities, job opportunities in IT, so
Okay.
I think that there's more opportunities for women.
So there's lots of jobs in IT. That's a positive. Yes, sorry, you had your hand up ages ago. Okay.
Like getting themselves with you aware of stuff. Most people are very accepting.
So I think there's 2 points there. One is gross generalization. In IT, they're quite accepting of people of differences. You were saying... Oh, sorry. Okay, so there's flexibility and a meritocracy because actually of the fact that you have to stay current and you have to keep up to date and you're always learning on the job. Martin.
I think I found that the woman I think is pretty cool to be exceptional. So I kind of wonder where the average woman is at.
Okay. I do see what you mean, and I'm definitely not going to put that under the negative. Women are exceptional. Thanks, Martin. It is a selection bias because it's so much more difficult and so much less likely for women to go into IT that generally speaking the ones who even try, let alone the ones who make it, are above the normal line. Yes. Were you just saying hi?
One of the things somebody had mentioned is being recognized as a woman as opposed to technology. I would kind of take a different approach and say, no, that's a positive sign because what we look for is diversity. And whether you want to face it or not, people are going to see you and want to be seen. So just because you're a woman, that is a positive thing. And you had done it earlier, that is a positive thing. Being able to look at something and say they're different, but it's good in the positive.
So being different makes you stand out as a positive thing. Yes. It's a good question. So the question is there a correlation between gamers and professional programmers? Oh, and gender. Well, yeah, sorry, I made the rash assumption that gamers were boys. Well, the thing is, actually, I want to address that a little bit from anecdotal evidence. In my company, Financial Exchange in London, we have about 25 developers. I've been there 4 years, and we've just hired our second woman. Both of us are gamers, and none of the boys are gamers. So I think there is a correlation between gaming and programming, and I think that when we were growing up in the 80s, gamers generally tended to be boys, and I think that's changing now. I'm going to move it along a little bit unless anyone's got something really desperately, yeah?
But then, like Facebook and those kind of applications do make women more involved in IT from childhood.
So are the shifting trends in technology going to help women get more involved?
Every girl
Ish?
has her smartphone nowadays too.
Yeah.
They were big boxes that were separate, so it's ubiquitous technology now.
So is new technology not more girl-friendly, but the Facebooks and so forth?
There's going to be more exposure and cross-culture.
Wider availability.
Wider availability, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to say wider availability of technology, e.g. Facebook, has a wider appeal. You can't read my writing at all, but I'll be able to. It'll be totally fine. Yes?
Question. Okay, so is there a way we can raise our children, particularly our daughters, differently to avoid?
That's a very good question. I like that question. Is there a way to... are there things we can do as parents to help our kids get into... maybe, right? Ben?
Just wanted to talk a little bit always pink.
We're putting that in negative, right? Pink it and shrink it.
I'm not going to say.
Yes. So is the image of programmers and technology, is it changing over the years? Okay, I think, I don't know what time it is. All right, brilliant. So, based on that, I think we've got some really good stuff there. I know we have kind of covered a lot of the specific stuff around women, but I don't think any of it is particularly female-focused necessarily. So, actually, let's take booth babes. Booth babes is a negative. It does put women off. Not only does it put women off because they're not attracted to the booth babes, it also puts us off because people assume if you're a woman at a conference, then maybe you're a booth babe. I don't know. Maybe I'm not attractive enough, but whatever. It's bad for women. Everyone knows it's bad for women. It's also bad for guys because it assumes that the marketing people are being extremely lazy, and they assume you guys are going to be attracted to a booth because there's some 19-year-old wearing no clothes. And it's a little bit demeaning on you guys, frankly. It's a bit rude. You know, it basically is it's catering for the lowest common denominator, and you guys in technology are not the lowest common denominator. You know, you're really smart guys. So booth babes are bad for everyone. It's not just girls. Similarly, things like the hours, and the hours are good for boys and girls. Lack of mentors and role models, that affects everyone. You know, all of these things, actually, I put something, a woman's perspective on the team, having a well-rounded team, women's perspective, all the rest of that stuff. It's not just women. It'd be great to get people who speak different languages, who've grown up in different countries, who have been exposed to different products. Yes?
I'd just like to say, one of my closest friends in England is manufacturing, and he finds it very hard to get work, especially in women's banking. He's a very, very good programmer. But he's pretty expert, he's probably the best way to very flamboyant.
He's very gay.
Absolutely. You shouldn't actually, you should be judging his merits, not the fact that but everybody just comes in the seat to see that, no, just no.
Yeah.
And I personally have a very bad thing about it. If we're going to do that for one particular type of individual, we're going to do that for everybody.
Yeah. So the point is around, you know, that gay guys who are, especially the ones who are visibly gay, if you like, or more obviously gay, we're going to find it more difficult to get work. I really wanted to find some stats on that because I think that's part of the same problem, but you can't find anything about that. And there isn't like, well, not in London, there isn't a kind of, there isn't an organisation you can go to and find that out. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that one of the things, well, I'll talk about it now because I'm here and I've got the microphone. One of the things that annoys me about the women in IT, a lot of the women in IT movements is specifically, and this is my personal bugbear, stuff aimed at women and only for women means it totally misses that sort of problem. It misses the problems of other types of minorities who need the same sort of help. They need role models and mentors, and they need networks, and they need the rest of this sort of thing. Yes? Yes. Yes, I completely agree, Regina. Sorry, the point. I want to repeat that point. Sorry. The point was that traditionally, lots of women in IT groups talk about part-time working, childcare, flexible working. The fact that they're doing all the parental stuff at home, and that's why we can't get on in IT. But how many women here don't have kids? That's like loads. How many guys here have kids? Loads of you, right? And how many women have kids? There's at least as many mothers as there are fathers here. So it's totally, I call it, in technical terms, it's a conflation of concerns, right? We're talking about women in IT and confusing it with parenting, and we've got the domain modeling wrong there. So you had your hand up ages ago.
Never had any problem whatsoever getting jobs from actually the other way around. If somebody Googles my name, the first thing that comes up is a meat video on stage that was about guys playing hockey. And the first thing is about the soap and the showers. It's not the first thing that comes up when people Google my name.
Well, I'm just saying to my friends that are experience though, it's one individual, but to me, I know a few gay men, not all of them are in IT, but it was just one experience, and it's just a taboo topic. It's like any minority individual has this problem. It's not just women, it's not just men. It could be you're like, say you're an English speaker in the country, or say you're as the vice president, I can't remember his name.
George.
It's like you went to Sweden and it's like, oh, well, I'm the American dude.
Yeah.
He's still a minority.
Did you want to make a comment on?
Yeah, I want to make comment on what you were saying about married or people with children. We did a session at Depot last year. There was 4 women and 1 guy there, and only the guy had children. And then we started going, oh, you all want to work part-time? And he said, sorry, I'm a guy. I want to work part-time because I have a job. And we were like, I we can work full-time. You know, but so
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So there's two things there which are exactly the things I get really passionate about. One is talking about women and just women means that we are not able to address some of the other areas that might need, or other minorities that may or may not get discriminated against. And talking about women and assuming that they want to have kids means that we're not addressing the fact that there are plenty of guys these days, especially in this day and age, who want to spend plenty of time looking after their kids and taking time out for their kids. Where was I going? I said I wanted loads of interaction, and then I said, you've got to shut up because it's my turn now. So, okay, great. We've had loads of really good comments there, and I'm pleased to see that most of you agree with me, so that's awesome. Let's get on with some actions, because otherwise we're all going to have a nice old moan, and then nothing will get done. So, what sorts of actions can we do to help improve everyone's situation, and, not just necessarily women? Yes? Creative things. Okay, so let's look in non-traditional places for technical talent or talent that could be technical. For example, arts and crafts hobbies. You can't read this at all. Never mind. Ben.
In the UK, at least, WI, the Spain university, has changed radically over the last 10 years. My sister and a couple of my very good friends got involved in it, and really got the organisation of what people probably have seen in dinosaurs and 50s and 60s. So that certainly that could be a very good venue to begin that kind of thing.
So, Women's Institute as a possible place to reach out to. I'm going to write WI on here, and I'll completely forget what that was. Yes. Yep. So. No, networking is absolutely key. And actually, that's what these women's groups are supposed to do. They're supposed to open up networks, and they tend to open up networks between women. So that's cool because these people would never necessarily have met each other. But it doesn't necessarily address women's networks. Doesn't address the problems we were talking about earlier about other minorities that might not might not get involved. So I will have a plug right now. I say you should join your local Java user group. You're supposed to make more noise than that, guys. Who here is a member of a Java user group? There's a few of you. Who here knows what a Java user group is? Who here doesn't know what a Java user group is? That's okay. Put your hands up. It's okay. Don't be afraid. It's our job to tell you. All right. So actually, I didn't get any of my jobs through our Java user group, but basically I'm speaking here today because of the London Java user group. I did meet my boyfriend through the London Java user group. So yes, definitely join your local Java user group. Join the London one if you want to. It'll be fine. Yes.
I think if we get girls while they're young, I mean, I wasn't a gamer, but I love IT, I love technology. I have a 10-year-old daughter who does enjoy video games, but if we get, girls interested in technology when they're in high school, and don't let them think it's a technology.
Yeah.
And it's just too young.
So get them young. Yeah, and they need to be, like I was talking, like the education pipeline thing. I mean, they start to drop off around about, 15. You've got to get them really quite young. Yes?
I think that, I guess I have a comment on that, is that it's kind of complicated because the stigma starts early.
Yes.
My daughter's 13, and she says, I don't like technology, Dad. But she says, Dad, let me show you how to use Instagram. Dad, let me...
Yeah, exactly.
Let's play Minecraft. Dad, let's do all these things. She doesn't know what people need for technology, or she just doesn't want to associate it with their needs.
So I'm...
But she's not very much creative. She also, Minecraft is a PhD game. So, there's a lot of logic that you can use.
So the point here is around girls in particular, but there are guys that do this as well. Girls in particular in their teenage years will tell you, I don't want to be a programmer, I don't like technology, I'm not good at it, or something like that. And in actual fact, they're much more technically competent than perhaps even the guys they work with, or go to school with, or whatever. There's definitely something around stereotyping there, and the thing is that the image of what it means to be a technologist, I think, still needs work, definitely. Sorry, John, you had your hand up ages ago.
One of the things that I think, talking about the educational pipeline, there's been a big push in the recent years on STEM technology, or STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Dr. Ballard at the keynote the other night, I think, hit it right on the head. He said most kids determine their course of action by the time they're 8. So if you really want to change the pipeline, you get involved with the kids, whether it's involved in after-school programs, whether it's teaching children's programs, whether it's Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, getting them early and getting them involved in technical programs early really changes the game.
Yeah. So go into schools, talk to schools, get involved with extracurricular activities like Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, whatever. I don't know who was first.
I was definitely not.
Okay.
Actually, I just want to say something slightly on that.
Yeah.
My wife sees how much I enjoy my job.
Yeah.
And she's like, I want our daughter to do the same job too. She's actually an MD who finds it very stressful. She's like, you come home and you're happy, your work-life balance is actually really good, your employer gives you some decent benefits, and you get family time.
Yeah.
Even though I get the same things, I still like to kind of work when I get home. Yes, I read, but I enjoy what I'm doing. She finds there's more of a job, I find more of a hobby. So I want our daughter to do this. I want her to be happy in this job. I don't want her to be stressed like I am.
Yeah.
And that's another way you can look at it.
Yeah. So the point is around the fact that many people in IT enjoy their jobs. They're basically doing their hobby, getting paid for it, and they love it. And that's a really important message to give to kids. And that's something I actually wanted to really stress in this session, is that normally when we talk about women in IT, we talk about things like childcare's rubbish, part-time work is difficult, women don't like science, and it's all very negative. And women get attacked at conferences, and you have to be you know, you're seen as a woman first. We say all these negative things, and none of those are untrue. But I think it's really important as an industry to start stressing the really cool stuff. Because is there anyone here who really hates their job? Half a person. But I'm sure not everyone here probably really loves their job, but most of the time you like your jobs, right? Right? And I was asking on Twitter, because I love Twitter and it's an easy way to write a presentation, I was asking them what they love about their jobs, and the techies love their jobs. They have bad days, but they love them, and we need to start broadcasting that, evangelizing the fact that we do this because it's amazing. And we do it because we do things which, when you talk about gender stereotypes, actually often fall under the women's bucket, which is I've got the chance to impact users, I've got the chance to make a difference in people's lives, I have the chance to work with people, you know, all of these empathetic, like fluffy things that's supposed to be women's things. That's what we all love about our job, not all of us, but you know, there's lots of that in what we do. Yes.
Bob Ballard during the keynote, I think he hit his head on many things, and one thing he said was that kids need to see their faces 20 years from now to realize that they can go there. And I think that's true for us as well. We also need to see our faces 20 years from now to see where we can go. So I think role models is a way to go, and of all kinds. And for the visible attributes like gender and skin color, and for the invisible attributes that also diversity.
Yeah, so diversity of role models is really, really important for the kids and for us. I mean, most of my role models have been white males, because there's a lot of those guys. I don't need a female role model, but I do know as well there are plenty of people plenty of guys will be inspired by women and people with different skin colors. So diverse role models is fundamental to getting more diversity into the workplace. Yes?
I know Mattel introduced Barbie. You have Barbie.
Yeah.
That's computer science Barbie. Do you feel like that's a step in the right direction?
Is computer science Barbie a step in the right direction? Can I throw that out into the audience? No, I mean, it's a good question. It's a very good question. Do people think that computer science Barbie is a good thing? Does anyone think it's a really bad thing? So computer science Barbie is a bad thing because she's got a pink laptop, and if we're a girl programmer with blonde hair, then we look like Barbies. I mean, I think my personal opinion on that is computer science Barbie, the sentiment was right. It was supposed to try and make these things accessible to women, but they just did pink it and shrink it again. You know, they didn't, you know, the best way to make computer science sexy and cool is to make a movie or TV series out of it, right? And how many people have been applying to forensic science at universities since CSI came out? Numbers have gone through the roof. It's crazy. You just want Hollywood to make it cool and sexy. You don't want... CSI. Sorry? Explain CSI. Does anyone not know what CSI is? Okay. Crime scene investigation. It's a forensics thing. So basically, people on telly go around solving forensic things really quickly in a very sexy fashion. You had a point. Yeah. So the point is that that having a sexy computer scientist, aka Barbie computer scientist, is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm really on the bench about it personally because I think that I think it just almost denigrates what we do because it's pink and girly. But on the other hand, it is. Yeah, it's better than it offers a wide range of role models.
I'd argue with the Barbie denigrates because at least I don't know if it's true now, but when I was growing up, Barbie was the only doll that you played with where you played when you were going to be grown up. All the other than mom. All the other dolls are your mom, you take care of the baby, you cry, you have to feed the baby, you have to crawl, whatever, but they're all babies. Barbie, I was whatever I wanted to do. One day I was a supermodel, the next day I was an astronaut, the next day I was something else. Barbie lets you visualize what you want to be as an adult.
So Barbie.
I think computer science Barbie is actually more positive than negative.
So Barbie is an avatar for you as a grown-up, and therefore we should allow things like that into the Barbie world. Okay.
All the other dolls are you're playing the mom.
Yep.
All the other
Yes.
I actually did figure out that I wanted to be a computer scientist until after college, and I feel like, I made that decision after college, and it's not so easy to go back and try to figure out. I don't think most young adults know what they want, right? Like at 18 or 22 when they're in college. And sometimes it takes a while, but going back to school is so difficult. The educational system really kind of sets you at one undergraduate degree.
Yeah.
And if there were maybe the education system was a bit
More flexible.
to like a second chance, like you finally understood what you wanted.
Yeah.
The timing was better at that in later stages in life.
So the point is that as a teenager, you don't really know what you want to do when you grow up. And I would argue that as someone in my 30s, I don't really know what I want to do when I grow up. And that, and if we're talking about the agile way of doing stuff, you want to be able to make mistakes fast and undo those mistakes quickly. So spending 3 years or 4 years or 5 years at college and studying a degree in hairdressing, I don't know, a degree in whatever, it's very difficult to undo that. And when I know people who went to become lawyers and they spent a lot of time becoming lawyers. They spent several years working in law, and then they became something completely different because it was horrible and they hated it. So we need to be thinking about things like work experience for kids so they can try it out and see what it's like early on, or more flexible education systems so you can do bits and pieces and go back later. That's 2 things I'm going to put down. Someone want to start talking while I write this down? Yes?
I just found that I did my degree. I started when I was about 35, I guess, something like that. And I was surprised by how many older women we were compared to how many young women we were. And so as I now work at the university, I went to the data warehouse guy and asked him to look at the numbers. How many old women are there compared to percentage to old guys? And how many young women were there compared to the young guys? So there was a difference. And it seemed to be a little bit higher, but not very significant. And this was just a one-time pool of numbers. So, it doesn't sound funny, but it was a little bit higher.
So slightly more mature women students than male mature students. That's what you're saying? Percentage-wise.
Than young IT girl students compared to young IT guys.
Yeah. There was yes. So computer science is about failure. Yeah. So basically, you're talking about managing expectations of a career. Yeah. Yeah. So, and actually, CSI probably is a good example of false expectations because they do those kind of montages and it takes like a minute and a half to get the fingerprints instead of it coming back like 6 weeks' time by the time the murderer's fled the country. So, yeah, you're right. Probably more realistic expectations than a Hollywood movie, probably better.
But people are still applying to forensics, and they kind of go dust cleaning with a brush. But they still apply, and they still get there. And then I guess you're still getting people to forensics.
They are getting more people than we're getting. There was a point over, yes.
Kind of following up to the point that, sometimes I think it's about failing a bunch of times before you succeed, and say that about a lot of different careers. By setting expectations and things, and expecting every child to ask questions, whether it's in school or something like this, that make that an expectation of kids who are busy like that, and insist that you will ask questions. And I think that people will realize that you don't have to start out in
I think our modern, I don't know about the systems outside the UK, but my parents are teachers and the system in the UK generally is geared towards learn this and pass the exam. And yeah, it's not about asking questions or being innovative or exploring or making mistakes. Yeah, I agree with that. Yep. That's what I got. So buy easy entry technology for your kiddies. So Raspberry Pis, things like, I think we had a bit of a problem in the 90s because I think programming on things like Windows and buying PCs, it was expensive, high barrier to entry. I think now most people have got laptops and phones and PCs and whatever, and we've got things like Facebook apps and iPhone apps, and I think the barrier to entry is a lot lower. So yeah, so buy your kiddies technology and make them use it. While I'm writing, yes. Or were you first? Sorry.
So I thought you had a good point in one of the sessions yesterday. There was, we as women in technology developers simply need to show our faces more. Like you're doing by actually doing a session, or doing multiple sessions, or doing small talks in our local groups, things like that.
Cool. I'm glad you said that because I was going to. Yes.
I don't necessarily agree with that. For instance, Facebook and laptops and so on. That's where it helps because it's so much stuff is already ready for you. When we got computers long ago, then we had to do a lot of things ourselves, and that's how we got involved. Now we just open and everything is there. There's not so much to tinker with.
So the argument is that, yeah, it's difficult to tinker. When we had our BBC Micros, you're faced with a blinking cursor and that you've got to learn how to use it. And these days you get a laptop and you open it up and it's all there and you don't have to tinker. My personal counter to that, are you going to counter that? Or have you got another point? All right, coming back. I'll be back in a minute. I think that, yes, that's true, but some of the littler platforms are actually making it. I think that with things like iPhone apps and so forth, and some of these easier platforms means that you can, as long as you've got the right software, you can kind of get in there easier than it would have been 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But it's not the same as being forced to tinker. I'll agree with that. Yes?
If you want to get forced to tinker, buy an Arduino board or Raspberry Pi.
Oh, yeah, Arduino, Raspberry Pi.
Easier technology nowadays to use.
Yes?
This is more general for girls and boys. I think the idea is that software development is very unpredictable. It's not a stable.
Doesn't have career prospects. Yeah, so the point is that there certainly was a perception, I don't know what it's like right now, but there was a perception that software, being a developer is not a safe career path because it's being outsourced and offshored and your job will go away. I think you're right. I think it seems particularly an attitude in America. I think we need to be really vocal about telling people what we do and that we're here to stay. And our jobs have been offshored and then brought back on again because it doesn't work. Yes?
I think, as you just said, we should be vocal about our passions, about our jobs. We should talk about kids. We should try to go to their schools, talk to their teachers, talk to their friends about their jobs. We shouldn't be caring about are the women or the men or the gay or this background. We don't care about it. We want passionate people. We want people who believe in themselves, who are afraid of failure. Because we all have to integrate in business. We fail. No. Actually, it's just a lesson we haven't learned yet.
Yeah, so we want passionate people going out to schools or to even to other education places or to wherever and telling people why we're passionate about what we do. And I would add to that, if we all do that and in our diverse backgrounds, then we will attract a diverse number of people. I think we're probably running out of time. Can I give you my 3 final points? I'm sorry, I'm really pleased about the interaction we had from people. I didn't get a chance to talk as much as I wanted to. So hopefully this should follow on from some of the points that were made. Just do it. Just go out there, particularly women, but all of us. We're at least the people who come to conferences, so we're at least the people who are getting out there and doing something different, even if we're just watching the talks. Get out there, talk to people, meet people, do the conferences, do presentations, join your user group, just do it. And particularly for, I'm going to make some gross generalizations which I hate, particularly for the women and the less confident amongst the men, which might be all of you. You are going to make mistakes, you are going to fail. We do that in programming all the time. It's okay to do it in front of everyone else as well, because people are really fine about it. It's not really a problem. It's not as scary as it looks. It really isn't. The first time I spoke was this time last year at Java 1. That was the very first time I spoke. I haven't been doing this for like 25 years or anything like that. 2, this is kind of for the boys, but it's also sort of for the girls, I guess. I really want to stop talking about gender. I would like it, boys, if you would not mention, sorry, men, if you would not mention to a woman within the first 5 minutes of meeting her, and you're a woman, isn't that lovely? I mean, I know you mean well, and I know that everyone who says that to me, they're like, I'm really glad to see a woman developer. I think it's really awesome. They're very positive about it. But I really don't need to hear that in the first 5 minutes of you meeting me. You know, I'd rather you said it's amazing what you did with the disruptor at LMAX. I think it's great. Being a techie rocks. Go and tell everyone.